Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Military Operations. In this video, we will discuss the withdrawal of all North Korean troops from the front lines in Russia. But what does this withdrawal reveal about the conflict? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia and North Korea have had a relationship of ups and downs. In the 1990s, Moscow shifted its focus to the West, establishing ties with the United States and Europe, leaving behind its former communist allies. As a result, Pyongyang found itself isolated, relying almost exclusively on China for its economic and military survival. However, in recent years, as relations between Russia and the West have deteriorated, we have witnessed a strong rapprochement between Putin and Kim Jong-un. The military partnership between the two countries, which has recently gained momentum, is a reflection of this new geopolitical reality in which Russia and North Korea have become the two most sanctioned countries in the world. With most major Western markets closed and facing severe economic and financial barriers, Russia and North Korea, with nothing to lose, have joined forces not only in the military sphere, but also in economic, commercial, and technological cooperation. The arrival of approximately 12,000 North Korean soldiers in Russia in November 2024 was an alarming signal for Kyiv and its Western allies, indicating that the partnership between Russia and North Korea was much deeper and involved far more elements than initially believed. Pyongyang's decision to engage directly in the conflict was interpreted as a bold move by Kim Jong-un, aimed at strengthening his alliance with Vladimir Putin and securing support for future negotiations. However, less than 3 months later, these same troops were withdrawn from the front lines. What exactly happened? The answer may lie in how these troops were used by the Russian command and the operational challenges they faced on the battlefield. The North Korean forces were deployed to the Kursk region, a strategic area along the Russia-Ukraine border. Historically, Kursk has been the site of major battles, serving as one of the key theaters of operations during World War II, where the largest tank battle in history took place between German and Soviet forces in 1943. Now this territory has once again become a critical point, this time in a modern confrontation between Russia and Ukraine. The expectation was that the North Koreans would provide a significant reinforcement to Russian forces, which since August 2024 have been unsuccessfully trying to expel Ukrainian troops from the region. The military personnel sent by Kim Jong-un were for the most part members of North Korea's elite units, trained for special operations and high-intensity combat. However, their deployment was marked by a long series of problems. First, there was a clear lack of coordination between the North Koreans and Russian forces. Unlike Wagner Group mercenaries, who had a more independent structure and a well-defined command, the North Korean troops were hastily integrated into Russian ranks, leading to serious tactical issues, disorganized attacks, and communication difficulties between commanders. Additionally, the way they were used on the battlefield raised serious concerns, with reports suggesting that many of these soldiers were deployed in near-suicidal operations, sent in frontal assaults against well-defended Ukrainian positions without proper logistical or armored support. This type of strategy mirrors tactics used by the Soviet Red Army in World War II and by the North Korean regime during the Korean War in the 1950s. The decision to withdraw North Korean soldiers from the front lines could have been motivated by several factors, starting with extremely high casualties. Western sources estimate that within a month, approximately 40% of the initial contingent was eliminated in combat, making it impossible to maintain their presence on the front lines without additional reinforcements. Furthermore, the way the North Koreans were utilized made it clear that their presence would not change the course of the conflict in the way Moscow had hoped. The withdrawal may also be tied to political considerations. The presence of foreign troops fighting on Russian soil raises sensitive questions for Putin, who has always framed the war as a defensive struggle against Western aggression, without acknowledging the role of allies like North Korea. Avoiding political fallout may have been one of the key reasons behind the decision to remove these soldiers from direct combat. But what does North Korea stand to gain from this involvement? Kim Jong-un's regime has multiple motivations for strengthening ties with Russia, the most obvious being the supply of essential resources. With heavy international sanctions restricting its economy, Pyongyang relies on Moscow to secure access to oil, food, and advanced military technology. Additionally, there is a crucial diplomatic factor at play, with Kim Jong-un seeking to strengthen his position on the international stage and ensure that in a future conflict on the Korean peninsula, he can count on the support of a military power like Russia. This strategic alignment can be seen as a modern version of the alliance between Stalin and Kim Il-sung, which ultimately led to the Korean War in 1950. The military cooperation between the two countries also extends to ammunition supplies. According to Western reports, nearly half of the artillery shells used daily by Russia come directly from North Korean stockpiles. This level of involvement suggests that Pyongyang is deeply committed to the war and sees clear benefits in its partnership with Moscow. The withdrawal of North Korean troops is far from a definitive disengagement. Instead, it suggests that these forces are being redeployed to the rear, where they will take on non-combat roles, such as logistics operations. It is also possible that, after a period of restructuring and training, they could return to the front lines under new conditions. Meanwhile, the presence of Ukrainian forces inside Russian territory, particularly in Kursk, presents a serious challenge for Putin. Zelensky, in turn, has used this situation as a political advantage, claiming that the incursion into Russian territory creates a security buffer zone to prevent new attacks on northeastern Ukraine. This advance directly challenges the Russian narrative and exposes vulnerabilities in Russia's internal defense, implicitly suggesting that for Putin to achieve victories inside Ukraine, he must first weaken his own country's defenses. The withdrawal of North Korean soldiers from the front lines highlights Putin's desperation in seeking reinforcements for that sector, to the point of sending them into battle without proper training or coordination with Russian forces. They were, as the saying goes, nothing more than cannon fodder in an exhausting and brutal war. But everything suggests that this was merely a temporary withdrawal and that Pyongyang's involvement in the war remains a key piece in Putin's strategic game. The withdrawal of North Korean troops from the front lines in Russia reveals the challenges and limitations of this military alliance. However, all signs indicate that Pyongyang will continue to play a crucial role behind the scenes of the conflict. Do you think North Korea could become a decisive factor in the war? Leave your opinion in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos.